It's not like you drive down the street and be like, which house do the dwarves live in? Oh, it's the mushroom with the door in it. Like that's not how it goes.
Oh man, I'll never find your house now.
Thank God.
Thanks for coming by my house.
Yeah, normally when you're going to somewhere in the valley to shoot with an iPhone and some lights, usually there's a lot of nudity involved, and this is where we film porn, folks. But now it's nice. I come in and you have a lot of awards promptly displayed in your apartment. Obviously trying to get laid.
Yes.
That's what you do. You go, oh, I have daytime Emmys.
The second you walk in the door, I want people to go, oh my gosh, look at this.
Yes. See, I have a wife, so my Emmys are non-existent. No, I can't blame that on her.
Your award is your child, right?
Yes. But like, I've had people fans have made like insane pictures of me, like hand painted pictures of me, and I can't display that right as you walk in, like hello, it's. I just feel like it'd be very Alex Rodriguez of me. He's kind of known for doing that.
Yeah.
There's a rumor that he has a painting of himself as a centaur in his house.
Heard this.
I want to see this painting. But yeah, so it's nice. You come in, we're just a couple of boys in the valley. You put your name on your microphone.
That's it.
No ego there.
No.
No, I get it. It's branding. It's branding.
Yes.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Van Vliet.
Van Vliet.
Yes. So when the ancestors came over many generations ago,
it's a Dutch name, right?
Yes, it is.
There you go.
They should have spelled it Vleet or Fleet, like Fred Van Vliet, Van Vliet plays for the Raptors.
Oh, not the video thing that's going away from Twitter. The Fleets.
Oh, fleeting. Yeah. Yes. Or Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
I feel like.
So you're Van Vliet. Sounds like either a wrestler or a comic book villain.
Only once you can pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
Because this gets pronounced incorrectly all the time.
That's why I ask.
Yeah.
No problem there.
Brad Williams, you never have a problem getting your name pronounced.
Yeah, pretty much. It's very white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Nothing crazy. I don't have a weird celebrity name. It's nothing. I'm not named after a fruit. Nothing like that. Just Brad Williams. Just people go like, so Brad, what's your heritage? I'm like, just white as fuck. Just that is my heritage. White as fuck. When they talk about white privilege, they just go through my genealogy and go, yeah, that too, and that. Yeah. So this is what privilege looks like, everybody.
This is it right here.
4'4" adult male. Privilege.
4'4"?
Yeah, you're damn right.
Or do you exaggerate that a little bit?
No.
Like how 5'10" guys say they're 6 feet tall?
Yeah, but see, dwarves can tell, and I don't want to get a lot of dwarf hate. I don't want you to get that on your YouTube channel, because if I said I'm 4'5", 53 inches, all the little people would be like, no, we can tell. We know exactly. I've had dwarves come up to me after shows, and I go, "What are you, about 3'9"?" They go, "How the fuck?" And I go, "Come on, we know. We just know."
What is the cutoff? What is the official cutoff?
4'11". There's an argument like 4'10", 4'11". That's when you're legally handicapped if you're below that. But in terms of cutoff for being a dwarf, I have dwarfism. That's a genetic condition. I have achondroplastic dwarfism. So I could be, if I got above 5 feet, I would still be a dwarf because that's my genetics. Not to get too Mendel square on you. Mendel square? Grendel square. Someone made a square. I don't know. He was a friar.
Mendel square, Grendel square sounds like something from Harry Potter.
Yeah. It's a chant before, but that's how I grow. You say that.
You just didn't chant it enough when you were young.
Not at all.
That's it.
No chanting, no veggies. This is what happens. Shit.
When did you start to lean into the fact that you were a dwarf?
Oh, very young. Because of my parents. My dad specifically. Now, my dad, not a dwarf. We don't all come from the same tribe. And so when I was born, he knew that I would be made fun of as a kid when I got to school. He's like, oh, man, kids are going to look at that, and kids are going to make fun of you. So his philosophy was he would make fun of me first, And but do it in a supportive way, like, hey, I just insulted you. Hit me back with something. So then,
wow, like toughen you up.
Yeah. So like even like 3-4 years old, he would like make fun of me, and then we would write jokes together. We would write comebacks. So like when I went to school, my very first day of school, a kid came up and went like, "Ha ha, you're little," and I looked at him and went, "Ha ha, your mom doesn't live with your dad anymore." And we wrote good ones. So
little did you know you were preparing for your career.
Literally, he prepared me to be a stand-up comic. So when I dropped out of college to be a stand-up comedian, he shouldn't have been surprised. But because it's like, dude, you made me. I'm you, Dad. But yeah, that's when I became aware of it, and really just once you go to school, because once you go to school, kids just look at you and they go like, all right, and they size you up and they go, what's the thing we can make fun of you for? What's the thing we can know? Like if you have a mole, if you got like, I'm sure you came out with that hair exactly.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. You never had the bowl cut. So they probably came out and said like, all right, Stone Phillips.
That'd be great.
Right, nice reference,
thank
right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So they always latch onto that, and my dad knew they were going to latch onto my dwarfism, and they did. And then I just had comebacks, and once someone hits you, and then you counterpunch, now you're the cool guy. So like people talk about like growing up with rough childhoods. I didn't. I was the cool guy in school. I was everybody's friend, and no one really like. Every now and then a new kid would come in and they would try to like stake their claim and impress people, but like okay, who's the weakest guy? Oh, Brad. Okay, I can make fun of him, and then they would start making fun of me, and then I would fire back, and then that wouldn't go well for them.
Yeah,
so,
you have an immense amount of confidence.
It's an insane amount of confidence.
Yeah.
But you kind of have to be a stand-up comic. Like, everyone's like, stand-up comics, they're very egotistical. It's like, yeah, you have to, because we have to go up in a room full of strangers and go, my thoughts deserve to be heard, not yours.
The concept of stand-up comedy is ridiculous.
It's insane.
It's a room full of people that are paying for you to make us laugh.
Yes, and my thoughts and my words and my writings, these are important. Now, if you yell out or start having thoughts or talk during my show, you will be escorted away. But my thoughts are why we're here. Like,
it's not a discourse.
Yes, it's very egotistical. I'm insanely aware of that.
Did your parents have to sit you down at a young age and go, all right, Brad, you're a little bit different from the other kids?
Yeah. That's
really?
Yeah. And they kind of prepared me for the whole thing. And
your mom and dad are not dwarves.
Correct. Yeah. Mom, dad, both tall. It's not like you drive down the street and be like, which house do the dwarves live in? Oh, it's the mushroom with the door in it. Like that's not how it goes.
Oh man, I'll never find your house now.
Thank God. But yeah, so they prepared me for life. They didn't, because my dad has a real basic philosophy, and that's there's the world that is and the world that should be, and many parents make the mistake of preparing their children for the world that should be. You know, like, oh yeah, no one's ever gonna make fun of you. It's like, yeah, people are gonna make fun of you. That's the world that is. So they prepared me for the world that is, and so now when I like it, because when Chris Titus has this great old bit where he says, like, you want to be with a dysfunctional person because a dysfunctional person knows how to react when things go wrong. Because they're used to it. They've experienced it before. Someone who's never had anything go wrong in their lives, when something goes wrong, they have no idea how the hell to react. They don't know what to do. So that's kind of how I was prepared for. I was prepared for the world that is. And so when that world came up, I was like, okay, I've trained for this.
So when you have a kid, is there a high likelihood that your kid will be a dwarf?
For me personally, being that my wife is tall, that's right. That's how you know I'm really good at this job. Brad, you're a comedian, are you funny? That's who I fuck. Sorry, can I curse on this?
Of course, it's the internet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So yes, my wife is tall, so the odds of us having a dwarf child was 50%. And then,
but also the odds of having a tall child,
yes,
are 50%.
Yes, and I was supposed to stay neutral and not have any hopes and just be like, whatever, kid. But but selfishly, I wanted my child to be a dwarf, and I got that wish. So yeah, my daughter is also a little person. I wanted a dwarf child because I didn't want a tall kid. That like it's like I'm kid's 9. Go to your room. Fuck you, Dad. Like I don't want that. So for very selfish reasons, I want her to be a little person. But she is, and she's doing great, and yeah, life is good.
I had a similar conversation with Hornswoggle about this.
Oh,
because
I'm seeing him later this week
because
we all know each other, and that's not even a joke. We literally do all know each other. I'm doing a show this week. I don't know when this is going to come out. Probably beyond this, but this weekend, as we're recording this, I'm heading to Appleton, Wisconsin to do shows. That's where he lives. So and
his son is a normal sized person.
Yeah. His son is tall, so you see them walking around. Yeah, it's great.
His son is taller than him.
Yes, and obviously way younger, hence son. But yeah. So it's nice though. I've seen that. I've seen what's happened with his life, and I know other friends that have tall kids, and I go, I want a dwarf kid.
He told me his son got taller than him at 9. Just like your story.
That's terrifying to me. That's terrifying. I don't know if I'd be able to. I mean, obviously you cope with whatever gets thrown your way, but yeah, just that'd be scary to me. You know, just like I told you not to like that. That's horrifying.
When we set up this camera angle, I said, you look pretty tall here, and you're like, I have a normal sized everything.
Yeah,
so what?
Not everything, but some things are very small. But yeah, I have an average.
Some things are proportionate.
Yes,
yeah.
I have an average sized torso. So my type of dwarfism, there's tons of different types of dwarfism. It's not just dwarfism. My type is called achondroplasia. It is characterized by shorter limbs, so my arms and legs are smaller. My torso is average size. My head is fucking huge, and I have an ass that Cardi B wishes. That's how that works. That's the breakdown of the achondroplastic dwarf body.
Okay, with all that said, how do you find clothes that fit you?
Well, it's very tricky. Tops are fine. Shirts, this is great. By the way, I didn't even know I was coming to meet a Canadian, and I'm wearing a shirt that has a where is it? It's on this side. Yeah, it's got the maple leaf on there.
Is this from Root? It's Guess.
Yeah,
it's
Guess, but I bought it in Montreal, so they had some very pro Canada stuff up there, and yeah.
Très bien.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Very good.
Donde están mis pantalones? Anyway,
something about pants.
Yeah. So yeah, shirts just adult small. Pants are a little more difficult. I have a tailor. I've put his kids through college. And
where do the pants start? Do they start as?
Because I have the Cardi B ass, so you can't. You're like, oh, you just get kids pants. It's like, nah, big ass. The kids. If a kid has a waistline like mine, they've got a lot of issues. They probably have a TLC reality show at that point. So yes, so big ass waist, and then we chop them down on the legs. Shoes are weird because everyone's like, "Oh man, I'm into sneakers are huge right now.
Yeah.
They're huge." But it like I go into the Foot Locker and I say, "All right, bring me out some size 4s," and they're like, "All right, we got 2 options for size 4. We have this which has wheels in the heel, and we have this, and these light up when you talk or when you walk." So I'm rocking Skechers. So
hey.
God bless you, Skechers. I did a corporate gig one time for Skechers, and they liked me, so now they send me free Skechers.
Hey, well then pump Skechers as much as you want.
Damn right, Skechers. Yeah. These relaxed fit shoes are great. They got no laces on them, and I just slip them on and I go, and they're comfortable as all hell. They're dad shoes. Get yourself some Skechers.
Both you and Hornswoggle openly use the term little person.
Yeah.
Which sounds very derogatory to me.
I know.
You're a person, but you're a little person.
Yeah. We missed the meeting. I feel like we should have had a meeting where we just go like, okay, this is the thing. Because you're supposed to say little person and you're supposed to say dwarf. And those are fine.
And you're not supposed to say midget.
You're not supposed to say that.
Okay.
I throw that word around, but you know. And
but you're a funny guy.
Yeah. It's like I don't find it, and like if someone calls me midget, I look more at intent. in terms of like, because if you call me midget and you don't know it's a bad word, okay, I'm not gonna get mad at you. I might correct you, maybe. But like, because I've been called like, okay, so one time I did a show in Odessa, Texas, and I got done with the show, and during the show I had some guys thrown out because they were heckling, they were drunk as hell, and we went back and forth, and then I had them thrown out. When the show ended, I was walking out to the car to take me back to the hotel, and I saw the pickup truck lights turn on, and the guys started racing towards me, and they yelled out, "Kill the dwarf!" And I wasn't going to stop in that moment and go, "Thank you for using the proper terminology." It's like, no, the intent was not friendly. The intent was bad. So
They wanted to kill you?
that's what they said. Thankfully, they never got to me. We got in the car and we drove off, and they had a big truck, and they're also very dumb. So they couldn't follow. So, but yeah, so I don't really worry too much about the terms. I know everyone freaks out now about like terminology and things like that. For me, it's all about intent. Are you my friend? Are you trying to be my friend?
Right.
What are we doing here? And yes, kind of like you, where they say like, "Oh, little person." It's like, yeah, you're a person, but you're little. And it's like, I've seen Puerto Ricans. They're little people. Like, they're very tiny people.
Like,
so
Kevin Hart is a little person.
he's a little person. He's a person, not quite.
But he's not a little person.
Exactly. And then dwarf, of course, Disney comes in and kind of messes that up. So we were all doing good, and then that happened. So so it's like, dwarf doesn't seem right, little person doesn't seem right, midget doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
I like to throw out new terms. So like these, I think most little people can agree on this term. I like to refer to myself as a big dick Magoo.
There it is.
Yeah. So
That's it.
when you see a male little person, of course, you refer to them as a big dick Magoo, and they are never offended.
And a female?
I haven't gone that far yet. I'll think of something, and then you, my people call you a reacher.
A reacher?
A reacher. Yeah.
What am I reaching for?
Whatever we ask you. So when we're out, we're like, "Why am I a reacher?" Go to the store with me. You'll find out.
So does your wife grab all of the glassware that's up really high?
Yes. Which also means it's very easy for her to force me to be on a diet, because she puts the cookies up there, and I'm like, my people made these, and I can't. Okay. So you tall folk are reachers. I love that term.
The number one thing that people Google about you is your wife.
Yeah, that's weird.
I think it's because people are like, how did he get her?
Yeah, and the answer, money. I'd say that.
And you're a big dick Magoo.
And I'm big dick Magoo.
Yeah.
So that combined, no. Thankfully, my wife met me when when I didn't have, I was doing okay, but not great, and now I'm doing much better.
Well, now you own a house in Los Angeles, so that explains everything.
Yeah, so she invested well. she picked the right stock. But yeah, it is weird. I've done that thing where I'm looking up something, like I do an interview and I go, "Oh, I want to find that interview, so let me see where it is," and I Google Brad Williams, and then it does the autofill, and it's always Brad Williams' wife, and then the next one is Brad Williams' baby, and I'm like, whoo! It's weird knowing that people are caring that much to look that up.
Well, I think you've done the two things that people didn't expect you to do.
Yeah, have a hot wife and reproduce. So that they want.
My hat is off. I'm not even wearing a hat, but my hat's off.
Oh yeah, you can't wear a hat; it would mess up the hair.
You can't. Do that.
But yeah, it's strange, and it's something that I have to be aware of because. So about 3 months ago, my wife was at a grocery store, and I was not there, but she was there doing the shopping, and the baby was with her, and someone saw them and went, "Brad Williams' baby," and just ran up and like was about to grab my baby to be like, "Oh, cute baby," and then my wife was like shoved her back, like, "Get the fuck away from me."
Not normal.
Yeah, like, who are you?
Yeah.
And they kind of forget, like, oh, that's a weird thing that a human shouldn't do. Just grab a stranger's baby. We don't know you. But yeah, she literally yelled out Brad Williams' baby and then started. So I stopped posting photos of her on Instagram.
Man.
Or if I do it like from the back or put a little emoji over her face or something like that. 'Cause, yeah.
Which emoji do you like to pick over her face?
I mean, she's half Chinese, so I can't do the panda bear. That's racist. So I do something completely off the rails and do like a kangaroo or something. Koala. Oh, she's part Australian. But the problem is now I put an emoji over her face and then go, wow, dwarf babies look weird. It's like it's an emoji. Calm down.
Yeah.
That's not how we grow. So yeah, that was kind of an eye-opening wake-up call to me. Not like, okay, I have to be careful with her identity because she hasn't chosen to put herself out there yet. You know, she has. If one day she wants to, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, I've chosen this life, and like my wife, she's not on social media, which is probably a good thing because like she has a private Facebook thing, and she gets messages all the time. From people trying to be friends because they look her up, they find her, and then it's weird. And the weirder one is when other male dwarves look her up and they send her a message, and it's like, really, dude? You think like, well, she fucked that one.
She has a type.
She probably will. And it's like, well, first of all, when it comes to little people, it's like me and Dinklage. It's like me, Dinklage, Wee Man. Like we're the top. We're on the current Mount Rushmore, okay? And I'm probably forgetting someone, and I'm sorry. But
Hornswoggle could be the fourth person.
Swoggle. Yeah. There's 4 on there. Yeah. So it's like I'm on the Mount Rushmore of current working dwarves. So I don't know what you think you're gonna accomplish, but good fucking luck to you, buddy. But that's one of the things that I'll tell people is because I'm in my wife is Chinese. I'm a dwarf, so it's a mixed race relationship. Whoever you end up with, if you're in a mixed race relationship, that's what everyone's just gonna assume your thing is.
Sure.
So everyone thinks that my wife is into dwarves. Everyone thinks I love Asian women. And if you look at my internet history, you're not wrong. But everyone just thinks like, oh, that's your thing. So I like mixed race relationships. I think they're really fun and progressive. But just if you're getting into one, just realize that's what everyone thinks your thing is going to be.
Had she dated a dwarf before you?
No, thankfully. I didn't go through and find a bunch of ex-boyfriends and they were all like, well, represent. Like I never saw that. Thankfully. So yeah, I was her first one. It's not like the first time we had sex, she pulled out a stamp of a Smurf, put it on the side of her bed like a fighter pilot, just boom, got another one. Like it wasn't like that. Not at all.
When you went down this career path, realizing I'm going to go on stage with a microphone and try to make people laugh with my thoughts.
Yes.
Did you go, I immediately have to lead with what people see?
Yeah. Well, at first I didn't want to.
Because then the bar is raised because you're like, I want to be a great comedian who's a great comedian.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a great dwarf comedian.
Yeah. It's this weird balance that I have to do because if I go on stage and I don't talk about it, rather than paying attention, the entire audience is like, does he know? Is he? What does he... should we tell him? Like it's strange. So, and I like as a comic, I try to write jokes about my life. My life is that of a little person. I can't write jokes from the perspective of a 6'2" man. Like sure. I don't know how to do that. I don't know what that life is. I know what my life is. So my life will always have a dwarf perspective on it, but they're not going to be, if you watch my act now, it's not an hour of, I could take a bath in a thimble. That's weird. Like, it's not that.
Yeah.
So I go into a bunch of different topics.
That.
Yeah, you lead with that. You go into some other things. Maybe while you're into another topic, you have a tag or a punchline that kind of leads back to it. Like, there's a whole way to do it, but yeah, I don't like to, because sometimes I'll do a dwarf joke on Instagram. Like, I did one recently where I walked by a sign of a restaurant and the sign said short-staffed. And I'm like, well, that's funny. So I just stood next to it like, son of a bitch, oh, all my friends work here or whatever. And then someone, of course, commented like, oh, so you can only make dwarf jokes? It's like, no, I do other stuff, but when the opportunity, like shows itself, you fucking go for it. Like that's a joke. Like there was a guy who came to my show. I did a show a few weeks ago in Rhode Island, and a guy came to the show. Literally, he's old, he's fat, he has a white beard, and he's wearing a Santa Claus T-shirt. come on.
Yeah.
I had to take a picture with him. I had to make a joke. I think the joke was when your old boss visits you at your new job.
So good.
You know, and it's just like, because that opportunity, when it shows itself, you can't just be like, no, I'm too good for that. No, my job is to entertain people. My job is to make you laugh, make you smile, make you on social media look down at your phone and go, huh. Like that's all I'm going for is you to go, huh. That's fine.
A literal LOL.
Yeah. That's it. So that's all I'm trying to do. In my stand-up act, I do the whole thing. I'll start with dwarf jokes, go into non-dwarf jokes, family stuff, commenting on modern day society, things like that. And then but like, if I'm just going for quick hitters, I'm not gonna deny myself an entire thing. And also, that's what people want to see. They don't like. A lot of people. Like, if a fat person goes on stage or is on social media and just talks about being fat the whole time, we all know overweight people. We know fat people. Same thing with a black comic. Like, if it's just like, oh, like, we know black people. It's like, it's fine. Like, not a lot of people know little people. Not a lot of, like, like, Swoggle and me. Do you have any other dwarves in your life? Maybe an ex. You were drunk one night. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. You and Swoggle.
Exactly. So and you came through those relationships in the professional sense.
Yeah.
So so there's not a lot of people have little people in their lives, so they're genuinely curious.
Yeah.
And in terms of getting a message out there about little people, I trust me to do it more than another source. And that's one of the reasons why I love stand-up comedy so much.
Well, you are an expert on the topic.
Yeah, I've lived my whole life as one, so I like to do things to where it's like, oh, I'm controlling the message, because if you go and wait for someone else to tell your story, they're never going to get it right. And the media has never exactly gotten it right with little people, hence the reason why we have so many stereotypes that are actually weird. I had a joke way back in the day about, like, dwarves are the only group whose all our stereotypes are fantasy driven. Like, none are true, none are based in any kind of fact. Like, oh, we make chocolate, we make cookies, and we follow yellow brick roads. Like, that's and we protect Snow White. Like, that's our stereotypes. They're all fantastical. We don't have, like, oh, we can't drive, or we have a big dick, or we're cheap. Now, those were stereotypes. I never said which group were the stereotypes. If you did the math in yourself, that's on you. You're the racist, not me. Anyway, so, like, we don't have any of those, like, stereotypes that are based in any kind of, like, fact, which is kind of strange.
Yeah. When you started to realize that you wanted to be a comic, and I mean, you talked about, like, how your dad kind of prepared you for this.
Yeah.
When did you realize, all right, I've actually got the courage to go on stage and try this for the first time?
It was Father's Day weekend.
It's all tying into your dad.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Father's Day weekend, I took my dad.
And you're how old?
I'm 19 at the time.
Okay.
So 18 years ago. So I took my dad to the Brea Improv to see a comedian perform, and the comedian's, it's just for a Father's Day thing, and the comic is on stage, and at some point during his act, he starts making midget jokes. And half the audience is laughing. The audience that's sitting by me is like, and not laughing. And the comedian notices and goes, whoa, what's happening here? He goes, what? Is one of them here? And I just went,
one of them here.
Yeah. And I raised my hand, and he called me up on stage.
Is this Carlos Mencia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is that story.
Yeah,
so I run up on stage. He starts asking me questions, just want to know about my life. I answer the questions honestly, and then my answers got laughs. So, like, I wasn't trying to be funny, but my answers got laughs. Just like, he's like, hey, what do you do for a living? And at the time, I was working at Disneyland, because exactly.
I see where the joke's going on.
So I said I work at Disneyland, and I heard people laugh, and I turned to the audience and went, fuck you, I'm not one of the 7. And that got a laugh, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, that was fun. And that felt really good.
Yeah.
So it was at that moment that I'm like, okay, I need to try this. I need to do this. Because it felt really good, and it felt like, oh, I just did something that made an entire audience laugh. I was always interested in comedy, but I never thought it could actually be a thing. It's like, if someone told me, hey, how do you become a pro football coach? I go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if you today wanted to, today I'm going to be a pro football coach. Like, how do you start down that path? I don't know. And that's the same thing I thought about being a comedian, where it's like, I don't know how people become comedians. They just kind of become comedians.
Yeah, I guess you go to an open mic? Question mark?
Yeah, and so that's what I did. I just started doing that. And you could just kind of slowly rise through the ranks.
But I'm such a firm believer in the idea of like right place, right time, whole butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Imagine you had gone to a comedy show the day before.
Yeah, and there were no midget jokes.
There were no midget jokes.
And we just walked out and went, well, that was a fun night. And then I went back on my path to trying
You'd still be working at Disneyland. Yeah. You wouldn't be sitting here right now.
I would be a manager. No. And that's the thing is, like, I dropped out of college to do stand-up. I had 1 year left. I was going to USC, make all the university spoiled children jokes. Yes, fight on.
Okay, that's what people say.
Yeah, so University of Spoiled Children. That's right. And
a lot of very famous people go to USC.
Yeah, Will Ferrell's a Trojan. There's a bunch of them.
Were you there at the same time as Dave Franco?
Oh.
Maybe he's a little younger than you.
No, he's a little younger than me.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a little younger than me. But I was there during a magical time where Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush and all those guys were winning and all that stuff. It was great. So that's what I was doing, and then I started doing stand-up.
And when you dropped out of USC, your parents were like, "Oh, thank God, we don't have to spend $50,000 a year anymore.
I'm going to pay for that last year of school." They were not exactly happy, but like, here's what I tell people: it's like I was majoring in communications.
Hey,
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like I was trying to do your job. Apparently, like I was. So it's like when I dropped out of school, we didn't lose a cancer cure. Like my goal before stand up. Once again, it will all tie back to my father. I have a lot of daddy issues. My dad always told me I loved sports growing up, and I wanted to be a sports announcer. And my dad said, yes, you could be a locker room reporter. You could interview Shaq's dick. And I just thought that was really funny. Yeah. And I thought, that'll work. I'll go into the NBA and I'll be like, so it'd be great. So that's what I was trying to do. That's what I was going to school to do. And then I started doing comedy. I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is great. And full circle, I did some work with the radio station out here, K-Rock, and they actually sent me to a red carpet where it was in Los Angeles. There's essentially a Lakers channel. It's Time Warner Sports. It's this whole thing, but I won't get into it. But this was the launch of the channel, so they sent me to the red carpet to launch the channel, and all the Lakers were there. So I got to interview at the time. Dwight Howard was on the team, Kobe, Steve Nash.
And the juxtaposition
Pau Gasol
of you next to them.
Yeah. I have a photo of Pau Gasol, and he's just like bending over, like, son of a bitch, guy. Like, really? And then I have an interview. I have a photo with me and Dwight Howard. Dwight's holding the microphone near his nether regions, and he's kind of interviewing me. He's holding a mic. He's doing that. And so, yeah, that kind of thing came true. So it actually happened. And if I ever do that again one day, that'd be great. I would love it. But so it's kind of crazy how life came full circle.
Well, you've got the access now because you now have a certain level of celebrity.
Yeah.
Where they bring you in, they go, this comic's gonna do these interviews.
Yeah, I can talk to people. That could be funny. And if you're a comedian and you're my size and you can't make a joke when Dwight Howard is talking to you, you do it. Yeah, I got in trouble that day, kinda, because I was on the red carpet and Magic Johnson walked by, and I was like, hey man, everyone's trying to get him, and he walked over, saw me. And now I have to interview him. And have you done red carpet stuff before? Of
course.
Yeah.
They're often terrible.
Yes.
Because
So as a red carpet person, you can prepare for a few people, but overall it's like some publicist throws someone in front of you, and you just have to interview someone. I don't know who you are, or I know who you are, but I haven't prepared anything. I just have to ask. So when they say, like, why do they always ask people what they're wearing and who are they wearing? It's like, because they didn't know they were going to talk to that person. It's just,
oftentimes
the
publicist will go, this is so-and-so from this CW show, and they're already in front of you, and you're like, you said your name's Brad?
Yeah, okay, and you just go.
Yeah.
So, Vampire Diaries, talk to me about it. I was not prepared to meet Magic, but he comes over and you have to go into your bank in terms of like what and I go, okay, so you opened up a bunch of Starbucks, you're part owner of the Dodgers, obviously all the Lakers championships. At the time, he had just written like a huge check to some charity, and I go, "You've raised millions of dollars for," and I go, "How does it feel to be the world's greatest human?" And I just do that, and he starts talking, and he's kind of winded about his answer, and then he ends his answer with, "And if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing." And my response was to go, "Not one thing." Not one thing, Magic Johnson. Not one. Okay. And they kind of pulled me aside, like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Wow.
And Magic's like my hero, so like it was weird, but that's just the comedian part of me goes like, "This is funny." Like, you can't have Magic Johnson, HIV positive, be like, "Nah, it was a pretty perfect life, pretty great." Nothing like. I had to. The joke was right there. So. I met Magic a few years later when I played in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game.
I'm sure everybody wanted you on their team.
Yeah. Do you want to lose? Have Brad. And I met him there, and I asked him about that, and he goes, "No, I don't remember that." I go, "Good, it never happened." So we're cool, everyone. Don't be. Yeah.
Did you have a time early on in your career where you went on stage and just felt like it was not going well? Kind of like this Magic Johnson story, but in the professional sense on stage.
Yeah. Oh, totally. If any comic says, "No, I've never had that," no, then you're lying, or you're insanely not self-aware.
Does it make you go, "Ooh, I won't try those jokes again," or does it make you go, "Maybe this isn't the right career path for me"?
Early on, second one.
Yeah.
Early on, you go, and did I make the right call? Should I go back to school? Should I try to do this? But then now, in October, I'll be 18 years in comedy, and now it's like I go, no. I know I'm good at this. I know I'm decent at comedy. So now if a joke doesn't work, I go, okay, I messed up. I can make that funny. I'll try it 2 more times, and I'll switch it up. Like, now I internalize it and go like, okay, like now it's more like a math problem to me. Like if you're a mathematician and you didn't solve a problem, you wouldn't be like, "Well, fuck it, I'm never doing math again." You'd be like, "Well, no, I just messed up. There's a way to solve this problem, and I just don't know that way yet." And that's how I look at jokes now. If I tell a joke now and it doesn't work, I just go, "Okay, there's a way that I can solve this. I just haven't figured it out. So I have to figure out how to solve this." So now I of course mind bombing. I don't want to bomb. I don't want a joke to ever do poorly. But I also know that nobody in this business bats 1,000.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have jokes that don't work. So I just have a different mindset. But yeah, back in the day, dude, jokes all the time. When I would say jokes that wouldn't work, I would come back and cry and like call my mom and dad, be like, "You were right, I should go back to school." There were definitely nights like that.
So if you're going to celebrate 18 years in comedy in October,
Yeah.
Father's Day is in June.
Yeah.
So if you didn't step on stage till October, walk me through what happened between the Carlos Mencia show on Father's Day in June to finally building up the courage to step on stage in October.
Yeah, writing jokes.
And what does that look like?
Writing jokes, just sitting there, writing jokes, watching stand-up, being like, okay, trying to get the rhythm correctly. And then also doing research, because we had the internet, but it was still young, like trying to be like, oh, how do you do this? Like, how do you actually do this? Because now we have all these podcasts that explain, like, jokes and stuff. So, or they explain comedians' careers. Everyone's done that interview where every comic's explain their process, their origin story, all that. So, but back then we didn't have that. So it was just doing a lot of research in terms of like how does one actually do this? And then I ended up like, you hear about open mics. Oh, people do open mic nights. Okay, and then it was like, okay, well, which open mic am I going to do? Like, am I just going to... Because also, I'm young and dumb in the business. I think, okay, so you do like 2 or 3 open mics, then you start getting paid for this, right? Like, that's what you think. And you kind of have to have that dumb optimism to do this job, your job. Like, we're both big wrestling fans. Like, you have to have dumb optimism to be a pro wrestler, because you go like, oh, the odds are not in your favor.
Yeah.
Like, the odds of everyone who said, you know, I want to host shows and I want to talk to celebrities, and people go, I want to be a pro athlete, I want to be a famous actor, comedian. The vast majority don't make it.
Right, and you have to celebrate those really little wins along the way.
Absolutely. So I didn't know how hard the job was. So, it was just doing that research, and I remember finally finding an open mic. I grew up in Los Angeles or Orange County, and then hearing, oh, the Laugh Factory, that's a big comedy club. Oh, they do open mic. Okay, that's where I should go. But I'll go to the first open mic I'll just go watch it and see if I'm good enough to be at this open mic. It became very clear very early I was good enough to be at that open mic. The Laugh Factory open mic, man, there were a couple that you're like, okay, but then there was a lot of like, I'll never forget this guy. I found out later he's like an LA open mic legend. His name is Fancy Ray. He's been doing it for like 30, 40 years. But still, he went on stage. He was slightly overweight. He had a bright purple shirt, like just popping purple shirt. He buttoned maybe the bottom 2 buttons. So the shirt was like open.
Yeah.
He had glitter all over his face, glitter on his body, hair spiked up and gelled back and styled and everything like that. And he would just go on stage. He would say a one-liner. They were all horrible. And then after the joke bombed, he would just pause and go, I am the best-looking man in comedy. And that, I saw that and I'm like, oh yeah, I can sign up. I can do I can do this open mic.
Joe Rogan talks about how those types of people, terrible performers at open mics, are crucial to the comedy business.
Yes.
Because it makes people who are coming up going, oh, if that guy can do it. I can surely do it.
Because yes, if you look at a Joe Rogan, a Brian Regan, John Mulaney, Dave Chappelle, if you look at them, Chris Rock, and just go, oh, that's what it takes to be a comedian, no one would ever sign up, because but what they don't know is how long it took each one of those guys to get there and how much work they had to put in. But if you go to an open mic and see, I am the best looking man in comedy, and that's your punchline, then you go, oh, I can do this, and it's like you say, it's those little victories along the way that you go, okay, I did my first open mic, awesome,
check that off,
check that off. Hey, I drove somewhere and did it more than an hour and I did show, cool. Okay, I got paid to do stand up, whether it be in cash, whether it be in free drinks and fries. Okay, cool. So I remember my first gig where I got paid was there used to be it wasn't a comedy club, it was a blues club out here in Hollywood called BB King's. It was at the right over here at Universal Studios City Walk, and they had bands and they needed a comedian to essentially go between bands and talk, and while they were switching the gear around and shit. And I saw that ad somewhere, and I'm a comedian, and they tried me out, and I got the job. And it was just crowd work. You're just doing crowd work.
Sure.
You tell a couple jokes, and then you got paid in a free hamburger, which for me I was like, sweet, that's all I need, free hamburger.
But you're also getting paid in stage time.
Yeah, and so I did 2 weeks. And then they switched managers, and then the manager was like, no, we don't need comedians. And then, so I lasted 2 weeks, but hey, good enough for me. But yeah, so it's like those little milestones that you just hit, and you go, okay, I'm on my way. Like you don't sign up for your first open mic, and then the next day you're selling out the Madison Square Garden. Like, that's not how it works.
I think that far too often in our society, we see the likes and the comments on Instagram. We see the finished product.
Yeah.
We see the LeBron James, The Rock. We see Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And we don't realize what it took for them to get there.
Right. Yeah. And you see, like, hell, let's take The Rock, for instance. Like, you see his character in, when he's doing the third person, when he's telling you what The Rock's going to do, and he's got the raised eyebrow, and he's got the catchphrases, and everything's killing, everything's crushing. You're like, oh, he's just naturally that good. What you don't see, or what you don't remember, is Rocky Maivia coming out at Survivor Series as the good guy with some of the worst hair you've ever seen in your life. Some weird like blue, green, and white streamers coming from his neck, and just being the, hey, I'm a great guy. I'm Rocky Maivia, and then just crowd just going, fuck you.
And what you don't see before that, and a lot of people don't talk about with The Rock, is him wrestling for 40 people at a flea market.
Yep, and that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Whether it be doing, coming up in your business, maybe like doing shows at your college news station, maybe. I'm guessing you did something like that.
Of course.
Yeah. In
fact, I auditioned to be on my campus radio station.
Yeah.
And didn't get past the first round of auditions.
Yeah. There you go.
And kind of as an FU,
yeah,
I went, I'm going to go do this for real. I don't need the campus radio station.
Yep.
And then 2 years later, worked at the radio station, like the AM station, in my college town.
There you go. See, and sometimes a no can be what you need to motivate you, whether it be Michael Jordan getting cut from his high school basketball team to be like, oh, really? Asshole. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a no to make you go, all right, I'm going to show you. And then you go do it. So, just a lot of open mics and driving, God knows, all over the state. My favorite story in terms of, like, this is what, you talk to young comics about, is there was an open mic at a bar called Marv and Mary's. I don't think Marv and Mary's is still there, but it's down here in L.A. And I was turning into the parking lot. Thought I could make it, couldn't, ended up getting into a car accident right as the show was about to start. So we're talking, the cops show up. I had signed up already, so I knew where I was in the lineup. I go, hold on. I run in, do my 3 minutes, my 2 minutes, and then run back out and continue to talk about the car accident.
Was any of your bit the fact that you were just in a car accident?
Yeah. Funny thing happened to me on the way to the show. It's that kind of thing. So, it's those kind of stories. It's the driving 6 hours up to San Jose, doing a 10-minute spot, getting no money, and then driving 6 hours back. It like that night.
There's so many parallels in that world to the world of indie wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine. And like indie wrestling, like it's starting now with social media. Indie wrestling, thankfully for these guys, is starting to be a little more profitable to the point where some guys are like, no, I don't want to go to WWE because I'm making enough money in the indies. So that's great. But when you start and you're the low guy in the card, you got to drive God knows how long with God knows who. You gotta set up the ring. You gotta close down the ring, and you gotta do your match, and you gotta take tickets. You gotta do all that just to get a few bumps in, or to get squashed by the main guy. There's this one indie wrestler that I follow, and like he just fought Lance Archer on Dark and got destroyed. But for him, it's like, yes,
he worked an AEW show.
I worked an AEW show. Like that's like you see those little victories on the way. That's that wrestler's biggest moment right now. Is that Lance Archer chokeslammed him and beat him in a minute and a half.
The first time an indie wrestler gets flown in for a booking, that's like, oh my gosh,
that's
like,
huge.
I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. First time someone buys your T-shirt. God.
Yeah, that's a huge one too. What for you was your first break and your big break?
Man. So there's a lot of breaks along the way.
Yeah.
There's a few. Getting on the Mind of Mencia show way back in the day, that was probably a break because then comedy club owners saw me, and that was my first credit to where you can say him from and because and here's a little tip for all you guys watching, and it's like known but not known. If you ever at a comedy club and you hear the MC or the DJ go, "You've seen him in clubs and colleges all over the country," that means they haven't done shit. That means, and I only say that because some point, we were all there. We all had not done shit. So everyone's gotten the clubs and colleges intro. He's played clubs and colleges all over the. Nope, this is his second time on stage. He knows the headliner, or we owe him a favor. Boom, it may not go well. That's the old clubs and colleges. But so getting on that, and then this is a long-winded story, and it's very indicative of Los Angeles. So I'll try to make it more broad. But basically, there was a very popular morning radio show out here called the Kevin and Bean Show.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, no longer on air, unfortunately. But yes, one of the members of that show was a guy named Ralph Garman. Ralph Garman is a very popular podcast called Hollywood Babylon with Kevin Smith. Ralph Garman on Twitter retweeted one of my tweets. I don't know how he saw it. I don't know what, but he saw it. He retweeted it, and it did at that point really good for me, like in terms of tweets and stuff. So the next time Ralph did his live podcast, Hollywood Babylon with Kevin Smith, I go to Ralph, and I know he likes whiskey, and I brought him a really nice bottle of whiskey, and I went, "Hey, thanks for retweeting me." Like that,
wow.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm a nobody. You did that. Thank you. And he kind of looks at me and goes, "Oh, do you want to come on the show sometime?" And I go, "Yes, yes, I want to go on the Kevin Bean Show. It's one of the top radio shows in Los Angeles."
Which then makes it one of the top radio shows in the country.
Yeah, just in general. So I go on the show, and like the day before, my chalkboard looked like that meme of Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like the conspiracy chalkboard.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if they ask this, I go this. Like these jokes are lined up. This is my radio routine. Like I'm gonna go in firing because as someone who has interviewed a ton of people, you know how hard it is for you when you show up and you go like, "Hey, so blah, blah," and the person just gives you nothing.
Yeah.
Just nothing. Yeah, it's a movie. What?
Especially on a morning show.
Oh,
because often they're too tired to be funny.
Yeah, they're
too
tired
to be entertaining.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, and I got plenty of sleep. I drank coffee, so I'd be hyper, and I never drink coffee, so I was really hyper. So like I've got that whole thing, and I plan it out, and I do my interview on the show. It goes well. At the end of the interview, they go, "All right, that was Brad Williams. Check him out." Blah, blah, blah. I see my Twitter at the time, like just start blowing up, and they look at me and go, "What are you doing in April?" April is their big comedy show at the time. It was called April Foolishness, and I go, "I'm not doing anything in April." They're like, "All right, do you want to be on April Foolishness?" And I go, "Fuck yeah!" So at the time, it was at the Gibson Amphitheater, which doesn't exist anymore, but it held 9,000. Yeah, I think not 9,000 people. Someone could Google it. It might be 4. I don't know, but
way more than what you were performing.
Yes, way more for the lackluster ticket sales at comedy clubs.
Yeah.
Do that, and on the show, just to give you an idea what the show is, it's a lot of people. It's thousands of people. On that lineup was Bob Saget, Jim Jeffries, Tim Minchin, Eddie Izzard, Jay Moore.
Oh. Jeez.
Nobody's. Just an insane lineup.
Yeah.
So I go on, I do my set. I'm near the beginning. I do my set. I end my set by bringing one of the girls from the show. Her name is Lisa May. She was the traffic reporter on the show. I bring her on stage, give her a lap dance on the stage. The place goes ape shit. Get a standing ovation. Jay Moore is on after me. He walks on and goes, "Okay, let's just be honest. Right now, before I start, after Brad Williams, we're all playing for second place."
Wow.
And this is on that show with that lineup, and that was a quote that made the newspaper the next day. Of like, there's a bunch of writers there from the entertainment section, and it was all about, this was the Brad Williams coming out party. Like, holy shit.
Wow.
So that was a big break.
Yeah.
And then people in LA saw that, and people started circulating, and and then you do that, and then the first Showtime special, that's a big break. The Netflix, The Degenerates, that's a big break. But then even going on like, I've been on the Rogan podcast. I've been on Your Mom's House podcast, which is Tom Segura's podcast.
Yep.
They have insane fan bases, and those were big breaks. She started selling tickets after that. This is not happening. That show for Comedy Central, the YouTube story that I told has over like 2.5 million views. Like that was a break.
Yeah.
Like it's all these little breaks that add up. Like very few times do you have that moment in show business where it's like today no one knows about you, tomorrow everyone knows about you. Like I can't even like I can like the ones that I can think of that are actually that didn't actually pan out. Like remember Ken Bone? He was during. I know it sounds like a porn star, but he asked a question during a presidential debate, and his name's Ken Bone.
He had a great sweater.
Yeah, he had a great sweater, and the next day everyone knew about him. Like you could have
And
that.
then the next week they forgot about him.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, the close thing I have, and it sounds insane, but like I remember there was a time where no one in the United States of America knew who Ricky Martin was. No one. And then he went on the Grammys. He performed at the Grammys, and everyone went, "Holy shit! Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah.
But then that's fair. That's unfair to say that he blew up after that because he was a Menudo and he was a big Latin star before that. So that's completely denying all those years.
But it takes you to that new threshold. It's
Yeah.
that idea that like you're the 12-year overnight success,
Yep.
like Sebastian right now,
Oh my god.
or like Kevin Hart.
Yeah. Like it's like, dude, Kevin Hart. People have told legendary stories about Kevin Hart getting email addresses together and mailing lists and packing clubs and going to malls and passing out flyers and but like doing all this stuff just so he can sell tickets there and having that work ethic. Sebastian, legendary stories of him being a waiter, running back to the Comedy Store, doing his set while wearing his waiter outfit, running back and didn't miss tables. Like didn't tell.
Oh my God.
Didn't tell his tables like, hey, I'm gonna go do. So this guy's gonna take over. No, didn't miss. Just went back to the set, ran back.
Yeah.
And there are stories about that, and now he's selling out arenas all over the world. So it's great.
I think you might be at the level now where maybe they don't know your name is Brad Williams.
Sure.
Maybe they're not familiar with your brand of comedy.
Sure.
But they are aware that there is a dwarf comedian.
If you Google midget comic, I believe my photo pops up. I believe it's my website. So yeah, like, and that's all. Like, all I want is for people to go, oh yeah, that guy. Like that.
Well, you're there.
That's all I need.
You're there.
That's all I need.
You're that guy.
Good. That's all I want. Like when people see me to go like, oh yeah, that's a comedian, or when they see my name up on the marquee, like if they're going to see somebody else, like, you know, maybe they're going to go see Whitney Cummings, and then they look up and go, oh, Brad Williams is going to be here in a few weeks. Okay, let's come back and see him. Like that's all you want. I just want my name to be associated with comedian, and that's it.
Do you think you need a big role in a movie or in a TV show?
You know what?
To really get to that next level?
I don't want that though.
Oh, okay.
I don't want that. Here's what I want. I want to be Brian Regan. I want to be Sebastian Maniscalco. Because, yes, he was Sebastian was in The Irishman, you know, huge movie.
Right.
And
but he wasn't a huge role in it.
Right. He's not that part where you go, who's this guy?
Yeah.
So all I want is for people to know me as a stand-up, come see my shows, have a special every few years. Cool.
You don't want to be like Andrew Dice Clay where you're peppered into a film every once in a while?
Maybe, but I really like stand-up. I really like stand-up. I love it.
You definitely more than like it.
It's so I get an audition now, and I don't get mad, but I go, ugh. Like I have to do this thing, and I have to prepare.
It's a lot of work.
It is. It's more work than you think, and I don't like doing it where I go stand up. I'm the writer. I'm the producer. I'm everything, and whatever happens in stand up is almost a direct result of me. Whereas, like, so in acting, you have to audition, and the casting director has to go, yeah, I like that person. Like you need that person to be like, no, I like you. I give you permission to be in our show or movie or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're trying to sell a TV show, you need networks and a bunch of executives to be like, yes, I believe this is our brand, and they have to make the decision. For stand-up, you have to be funny.
But here's the thing with stand-up.
Just gotta be funny.
You are the brand in stand-up. If your character doesn't work in a TV show, you could go, bad writing, bad producing, bad directing, bad casting, whatever.
Yeah.
If you don't work in stand-up, it's because you didn't work.
Yeah, and I like that.
Oh.
Because I trust me.
Yeah.
I trust me to do the work. I trust me to make it work.
But it's also hard to not take that personally.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I like knowing that if it doesn't work out, it's because I fucked up. Because I can control that. I believe I can control that. If a show doesn't work out, if a TV show doesn't work out, then that could be any number of reasons why it didn't work out that I had absolutely no control over whatsoever.
Yeah.
So there's a movie out right now with Eric Andre called Bad Trip. It's on Netflix.
Yep.
It's a great movie, and the whole concept of the movie, for those of you who don't know, is it's like a sitcom, but it's taking place in real life with real people, and there's insane. Like, imagine if you were just walking down the street and a chase scene happened from Fast and the Furious, and you're like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, but they're also getting the people's reactions. That's what the movie is. It's a brilliant concept, and I'm laughing about it because about 7-8 years ago, I was in a pilot for NBC that did not go. It did not get picked up. But it was a sitcom that took place in the real world. We would go to dinner, and those sitcom family arguments would happen at a restaurant with real people that didn't know they were on a show. So we would like throw gravy at each other, and everyone would go. Like, there was one scene where I was at a bookstore with my twin brother who wasn't a dwarf. Yeah, fun. It's a weird show. And like something happened, and all the bookshelves fell over, and like we rigged it to where it would happen that way. But then no one in the store knew that was going to happen. It's their real reactions. It's us reacting to it. I thought it was brilliant, but it didn't go. And for whatever reason, name your reason.
But in that case, you can't go, not my fault.
Yeah. I can say not my fault, but I don't want it. I don't want to do that. I want it to be my fault because then I have control. If it's because a new executive doesn't like that kind of show, or the writing wasn't good, or whatever, then it's like, well, then why the fuck am I doing it? If you're gonna fuck it up, like, it's the team sport versus the individual sport. If Roger Federer doesn't win at tennis, it's because Roger Federer wasn't good at tennis. If the guard from your favorite football team does everything right, he could still lose because the wide receiver dropped it, the quarterback threw the wrong guy, the running back fumbled it, or the defense sucked. Like, all of that can happen, and he's like, like, you know, it's name every great player that didn't win a championship, and then you have like Adam Morrison, who's won 2. And if you don't know who that is, he was a great college player, went to the Lakers, was sitting on the bench, never got in the game, won 2 championships. But he has 2 rings. So it's like, it's that whole thing of like, what do you prefer? Do you want teammates who you can rely on, who can possibly fuck up, but then also pick you up when you're not doing well? Or do you want to be the individual show where it's like, no, it's you. It's you, it's all you. And if it goes wrng, it's you.
Wouldn't you think, though, that when you get an audition or you get a breakdown, they're looking for you?
You would think that. I had an incident during an audition one time where it was for a commercial. I won't say the brand. But in the audition it said, "We are looking for a funny little person." I'm talking funny, improv comedy, prop comedy, like great comedic timing, like just everything like that.
You're like,
and
who better?
Yeah, and I'm reading the part like, holy shit, like, me, great. So I get to the audition, and they're like, okay, for this audition, we want you to mime picking up those boxes and putting them on the shelf. There's no boxes, there's no shelf. But like, pick up the box, and I go, okay, and then what? And they go, oh, that's it. And I did it, and then I try to do it funny, and then they told me like, no, just play it for real. And I'm like, but you want, okay. So I did it. And then they went, okay, that's all. And I stopped in the room and went, the breakdown said this. And they go, that's what we need. And I went, that's me. Okay, just so you know, if this is what you want, me. Like, yes, there are other very talented dwarf actors out there. There are other dwarf comedians out there. There are funny little people out there, no doubt. But I go, if this is what you want, this is literally me and me alone.
Yeah.
give me the fucking and I kind of said that to him like in the room. Didn't get the part probably because of that. But like it made me it infuriated me because I'm like, you literally just said we want Brad Williams. Brad Williams showed up and then you went, but what can you do? Like. And there's so many stories that.
Sometimes, and not everybody will know this, but sometimes you'll get a breakdown, and it will say, "We're looking for a Ryan Reynolds type."
Yeah, and you're like, "Get Ryan Reynolds,
right?
Call him."
It sounds like here they were saying, "We want a Brad Williams type."
Yeah, and then Brad Williams showed up, and they're like, "But can he?" It's like,
did you see who they ended up casting?
I did.
Because if they cast anybody who like maybe was Asian or black, you could go, right.
I go, okay, that's what you wanted, and that does happen sometimes where I don't get a part, and go, wow, and then I see the person's performance and go, cool. Like, okay, so you saw the movie Joker. Of
course.
There's a dwarf in that movie.
You auditioned for it?
Yes, I auditioned for that one. Didn't get it. I thought I did well. I was really mad about not getting the part. And then I saw his name is Lee. He's a great actor. I saw what he did, and I went, "Oh, yeah, him. Okay, yeah, give that to him. He won."
And I've gone in for auditions, and then I see the person that they cast. I go, I was nothing like that person.
Why did you call me?
Yes, why was I there?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a crazy business that way. And that's one of the reasons why I love being a stand-up comedian, because if I don't get the part, if my show doesn't go, if whatever doesn't happen, I still have comedy. I have comedy.
And you'll always have that.
Yeah, I can't stop doing that. Like, the worst case scenario is I literally never write another joke, and I just do the same act that I'm doing right now for the rest of my life. But the act works, so there'll always be some people that laugh. There'll be people that get tired of it and never come back and see me. But it will always get some laughs. So that's the worst case. So I got that. And that's why I'm really happy to be a comedian.
A lot of people that are watching this or listening to this will know you from the Chris Jericho Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
The Rock and Rager.
Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea.
Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea.
Okay.
How did that connection happen?
I'll tell you this story. And by the way, I think for the new one, or the third one, some cabins, it was sold out, but I think some cabins just became available, and it's a complicated vaccine situation. It's some politics. I don't know. I don't want to step there. But anyway. So, yeah, if you want to go, look it up. So yeah, the Chris Jericho Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea, which is people make fun of comedians on cruises. Not this one. It's comedy, it's metal, rock bands, and it's wrestling on a fucking boat. Like how this is my people. This is my cruise. So I'm doing this is how that happened. So I was doing the Tampa Improv, and I was headlining it, and I do meet and greets after every show, and this lovely, attractive blonde woman comes up to me after the show and says, "Wow, that was really great. You were really funny. You know, my husband's in show business. He would really like you." And whenever I hear my husband's in show business, my son's doing stand-up, my whatever I'm just like, yeah, okay, your husband's in show business out here in Tampa. Yeah. Okay. So he's done like a used car commercial. Okay. Like that's what's going through my head. So I go, "Oh, your husband's in show business," and I just kind of nonchalantly go, "Oh, who's your husband?" She goes, "Chris Jericho," and I go, "Oh, egg on my face. Okay. Well, please tell him hi. I'm a big fan." Blah blah blah. Like, and I probably geeked out and said way too many inside information about Chris Jericho during that time. Where she's like, "How do you know that?" Yeah, you have that thing in your house. I haven't been there. But she goes, "No, I'm going to tell him about you." And I go, "Okay, cool." And I think, well, there's a fun story I could tell people, but I don't think really anything of it. A few days later, I get a DM on Twitter, and it's from Chris Jericho. And I am a lifelong wrestling fan. Like, we geeked out before the cameras went on. Yeah. And Chris Jericho is definitely one of my favorites. And so he DMs me and says, "Hey man, my wife says you're really funny. I'm gonna be out in LA in a couple months. You want to do my podcast?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, Chris Jericho." Yeah. So we set a date, and I go to his studio where he does his podcast, and I sit down and I talk with him for an hour. Talk is Jericho. Mm-hmm. I tried not to geek out too much. I tried to act professional. There's probably some moments where I geeked out. And then at the end of we stopped the podcast, and he goes, "Wow, that was really fun. Like, cool, nice to meet you." And we got along really well. And then he goes, I'm doing this. This is before it was announced. This was the first cruise. He goes, I'm doing this cruise thing. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's going to... I go, how can I be on this cruise?
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't really pay you that much because I'm losing money on it. And I go, I don't care. Pay me. Don't pay me. Yeah. It's wrestling on a boat. Yeah. I want to do this cruise. And at the time, AEW didn't exist. So it was Ring of Honor versus Impact Wrestling.
Yeah,
so
it was right before AEW was announced.
Yeah. Which was really cool because there was still a Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega match on that boat. So we got to see that. It was amazing. I go, yes, I will do it. And I did the cruise. I did shows. But one thing is that I went to everything. Like every wrestling event, I was there. Every rock performance, I tried to go see. Every live podcast I did, I was involved in some of them. At one point, Jim Ross called me humping Don Callis's leg, where he's like, "Good God Almighty, that leg's got a family."
My God!
It was like the biggest nerd moment, and I did everything. And Jericho noticed that. Like I was at the one-man shows, like Mick Foley did his one-man show, Jericho did the one-man show. And I did that stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you're really into this." And the fans saw that too. So the fans were like, "Oh, Brad's not just showing up here for a paycheck. Well, like he wants to do this."
One of us.
Yeah, definitely. So after that, Jericho and I legitimately, and I can say this honestly, became friends. Like friends. There's one time I was in Columbus, Ohio. I noticed that his band Fozzy was doing a rock festival there at that time. And I was like, "Hey, I'm in Columbus. You're doing Columbus." And he goes, "Oh, I'm done at like 2:00. We're one of the day sets, so I'll come see you." And he drove by himself over an hour and a half, just showed up at the comedy club. He's like, "Hey," and he walked up and "I'm Chris Jericho." And they're like, "Yeah, we know. Get in here." And yeah, he watched the show and hung out afterward. It was great. Like we're legitimately friends right now, and it's the weirdest thing because I have to like he's a great guy, the best dude, and then I have to remind myself like, oh yeah, that's like one of your heroes when you were a kid, and now you're friends with him. That's the weirdest shit ever.
He's such a good guy.
He's such a great guy,
and he makes time. Like his texts aren't just like okay, yes. He makes time to communicate.
He's caring. He read it. Yeah. He knows what we're talking about. So I was going to be on the second Jericho Cruise, but then my wife had the nerve to get pregnant. I know. All her fault.
How dare she?
So wasn't able to do that one because
it's partly your fault too.
Yeah, I had something to do with it. But yeah, the due date was like a week before the cruise, so it couldn't be like, all right, you're born, you're healthy, good, all right, bye. Like I couldn't do that. Sure. So I didn't do that. But now I'm on the third one. I'm hosting it and also doing some stand-up shows on it.
Love it.
So yeah, it'll be great. I can't wait. It's the most fun. It's the most fun if you're a wrestling fan, because like I said, it's rock music, it's comedy, and all the comedians on it either like wrestling or associate with wrestling in some way. So they're not just getting people that are, like I said, are just showing up for the paycheck. Like these are all people that have respect for the business. So it's gonna be a blast.
That's such a good story that I think we're going to end on that story.
Let's do it, man.
Where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me. Go to my website, bradwilliamscomedy.com. That's got links to everywhere, but if you want the shortcuts, Instagram.
The shortcuts?
That's the name of my next special, maybe. I don't know. But then go to Instagram, at Brad Williams Comic, Twitter, at Funny Brad. But my whole touring schedule is on my website. We talked about this before.
You are on the road pretty much every weekend for the next year.
I got college to eventually pay for. So yes, I'm on the road for pretty much all the time. So if I'm not in your city, wait. I'll be there. I'll be within a stone's throw. No problem.
Just a short distance away?
Get it! Okay, you're funny. No. You're funny, Chris Van Vliet.
Hey!
Van Vliet.
I end every interview with the same question because
6 inches.
Well, there we go.
Oh, okay. No.
I'm
question.
very driven by gratitude.
Oh,
and
okay.
I feel like I start and end every day saying out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for. So I end every interview with this too.
Okay.
Because it gets people that are listening to think in that same term of like, hey, I can be grateful as well.
Yeah.
So what are 3 things in your life that you're grateful for right now?
Wow. It's such a simple question, but also such a great question where it makes you stop and go like,
Well, because so many people think about the things they don't have instead of thinking about the things that they do have.
yeah. I'm very grateful that my wife is patient and lets me go on the road and do stuff on the road and entertain.
She let us hang out today.
She let us hang out today. You know, she's got the baby there, and because I'm wealthy enough to where I'm okay. I'm not wealthy enough to where I've got a staff of nannies, and we just wake up and we go, oh, I'd like to see the children today, and we wander in and see the child whenever we feel like. It's like, no, we're there, we're in it, we're doing all this stuff. So yes, I'm very grateful to have a patient wife. Very grateful to have a healthy daughter, and I don't want to make this a political thing, but very grateful for the vaccine because I can now go back on the road and I can do stand-up and I can do meet and greets afterward and not worry about me getting sick or me passing it off to anyone, or if I do get sick, it won't be as bad. So yes, yay science! So yeah, I'll say that I'm grateful for the vaccine. And here come the tweets. Mother. Save your tweets.
Whether you're pro or anti-vaccine, I think we can be happy that we're able to leave our houses now.
Yes.
We're able to eat in a restaurant again.
Yes.
We're able to go to comedy shows, to movie theaters.
Yes, thank God, because my industry shut down for a year and I had to do virtual shows, which, don't get me wrong, they were okay, but yeah, it's kind of weird when you tell a joke about anal sex and you see someone's 3-year-old like wander into the camera and you're like, all right, send me the invoice for the therapy. I know I just caused that kid some harm. But yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me to the apartment and showing me all your Emmys. Do I have to polish them now? Is that one of the things?
Yep.
Okay.
Why I brought you here.
I got to go polish his daytime Emmys. Please.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, pal.